bisa melalui link yang kami siapkan dalam Zoom atau dalam kolom komen Zoom tersebut. Kemudian juga di akhir acara nanti akan ada sesi foto bersama, jadi silakan untuk disiapkan virtual background-nya, kameranya boleh dibuka untuk menjadi kenang-kenangan di sesi webinar kita kali ini. Dan yang pastinya akan ada pengumuman giveaway. Ada 5 orang beruntung yang akan kita umumkan di akhir webinar nanti. Jadi standby hingga akhir acara, dan siapakah 5 orang yang beruntung nanti akan kita umumkan di akhir acara. Sebelumnya, saya ingatkan kembali bahwa tata tertib webinar sudah kami sebarkan melalui WhatsApp grup peserta webinar, jadi silakan untuk diikuti tata tertib aturan yang berlaku pada sesi webinar ini. Apabila para peserta webinar sekalian berkenaan atau memungkinkan membuka kameranya, bisa juga menggunakan virtual background yang sudah kami sediakan. Di tengah-tengah Zoom, di tengah-tengah sesi seminar nanti juga akan kami kirimkan link presensi untuk atau absensi untuk kebutuhan sertifikat. Jadi bisa disimak saja sesi webinar kami yang tentunya tidak kalah menariknya. Tanpa panjang lebar, maka mari kita mulai saja webinar kali ini dengan membukanya melalui welcome speech dari CEO and founder CariWebinar, yaitu Bagas Deka Kurtianto, BEMPA. Untuk waktu dan tempat kami persilahkan.
Baik, terima kasih Salma. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Swastiastu, Namo Buddhaya, salam kebajikan. Selamat hari Sabtu. 尊敬的 Any Helper 创始人，我的好朋友 Kelvin。早上好， selamat pagi para teman saya Kelvin Chen ya. Sahabat saya dari tahun 2016. Ketika dia baru bikin perusahaan, kita bersama-sama. Pada hari ini kita akan membahas perbedaan antara budaya mencari kerja di Indonesia dan juga di Tiongkok. Untuk kali ini, CariBos akan mendatangkan narasumber yang asli dari Tiongkok yang memang selaku CEO dari perusahaan headhunter, perusahaan pencari kerja. Hari ini, Kelvin akan memberikan pandangan dia, apa sih perbedaannya mencari kerja di Indonesia dan di Tiongkok. Kenapa? Sehingga teman-teman punya pandangan. Meningkatkan value dari diri sendiri, itu seberapa penting. Dan apa yang bisa kita dapat nilai-nilai dari ilmu-ilmu hari ini. Nah, jadi terima kasih sekali Kelvin bisa memberikan ilmunya, dan hari ini kita mari belajar bersama-sama untuk menjadi SDM yang lebih unggul lagi. Saya di Tiongkok sudah belajar selama 18 tahun. 18 tahun ini saya mempelajari bahwa SDM di Tiongkok itu lebih berkompetisi. Kenapa? Karena populasinya sangat besar. Jumlah populasi di Tiongkok itu sangat tinggi. Jadi kalau di Tiongkok tidak berkompetisi, SDM-nya tidak bisa mendapatkan posisi yang terbaik. Tentunya Indonesia juga memiliki 270 juta populasi. Kita juga memiliki kompetisi yang kuat. Jadi makanya hari ini ada similarity and differency antara pencari kerja di Indonesia dan di Tiongkok. Jadi mari kita bersama-sama belajar, saya pun juga belajar bagaimana kita bisa memberikan layanan yang terbaik untuk teman-teman bisa mencari kerja dengan akses yang lebih bagus lagi. CariBos adalah aplikasi untuk teman-teman bisa mempercepat proses pencarian kerja. Jadi di sini teman-teman silakan download aplikasi CariBos, ada di App Store dan juga Google Play, dan kita juga bisa mendapatkan informasi-informasi pencarian kerja dan informasi-informasi webinar serta pelatihan. Dan juga CariBos memiliki fitur yang bernama CV Analyzer. Teman-teman bisa masukin CV-nya dan teman-teman bisa mengetahui seberapa unggul teman-teman di antara pencari kerja yang lain. Dan juga selain itu, kita memiliki fitur CV Maker. Teman-teman juga bisa melalui aplikasi untuk mendapatkan akses pembuatan CV secara otomatis dan juga bisa langsung dikonekkan oleh analisa profil CV. Jadi CV Maker setelah udah jadi, teman-teman bisa mendapatkan nilai tersebut. Nah, untuk fitur-fitur yang lain, hari ini kita akan mengundang teman-teman untuk download aplikasinya dan mendapatkan door prize yang senilai 50.000 untuk mendapatkan akses VIP di aplikasi Cari Bos. Jadi tunggu apa lagi? Mari kita hari ini mendengar ilmu, mendapatkan door prize di hari Sabtu yang efektif ini. Kita belajar bersama-sama dan jangan lupa cari kerja, cari bosnya aja. Terima kasih.
Terima kasih pada CEO and founder dari Cari Bos. Jangan lupa cari bos, cari kerja, cari bosnya aja. Jadi silakan untuk bisa akses atau download aplikasi Cari Bos di Google Play Store atau juga di App Store. Bisa diunduh secara gratis dan nikmati beragam variasi, fitur, dan juga manfaatnya. Mari kita lanjutkan pada sesi agenda selanjutnya. Ini adalah sesi yang utama tentunya dari sesi webinar kali ini, yaitu adalah pemaparan dari narasumber yang akan dipandu oleh moderator kami, ada Saudara Renardus Ardi Putra. Jadi tanpa panjang lebar lagi, saya akan alihkan untuk memimpin webinar kali ini di moderator Saudara Ardi. Ardi, silahkan, waktu dan tempat dipersilakan.
Terima kasih Kak Salma. Halo teman-teman, perkenalkan. Nama saya Ardi Putra dari Cari Bos. Dan pada kesempatan hari ini, saya dipercayakan sebagai moderator untuk webinar hari ini. Untuk webinar hari ini bertemakan Difference and Similarities of Indonesian and Chinese Human Resource. Nah, sebelum kita mulai kepada inti acara hari ini, saya akan menyampaikan beberapa tentang Kelvin Chen. Nah, Kelvin Chen ini adalah pendiri dari AnyHelper. Dia merupakan sarjana pemrosesan gambar dari UT Austin. Selain itu, dia juga merupakan profesor perusahaan di Sekolah Bisnis Asia dan Eropa by ECNU, dan juga mengambil PhD di jurusan Electrical Engineering di Shanghai Chiao Tung University. Nah, dia mendirikan AnyHelper di tahun 2016. Itu adalah platform layanan ekspatriat dan menciptakan sistem Q&A real-time pertama untuk ekspatriat di China. Saat ini, AnyHelper dapat memberikan solusi layanan menyeluruh untuk ekspatriat di China dan mengoperasikan 3 merek layanan, yaitu solusi visa di China, Easy Home, dan yang terakhir adalah platform pencarian kerja, AnyJob. Nah, now let's welcome our speaker, Kelvin Chen. Hello, Kelvin. How are you lately?
Hello. Let me share my presentation. Maybe.
Okay. I think we can start the webinar. Time and place are given for you, Kevin.
Yeah. So my topic will be work in China or in Indonesia, the difference and the similarity today. And firstly, let me introduce myself. So I'm really good friend with Bagas, and we know each other like 5 years ago when we both study. At that moment, I studied in Jiao Tong University in Shanghai, and Bagas is studying in Shufei. And for my background, I firstly am kind of like programmer and also a researcher. I used to study in artificial intelligence, mostly do image processing, image recognition. So I do a lot of programming work. So I have a lot of friends that they work in the like really top internet company in China, like Tencent, Alibaba, and TikTok. And also the second part is I'm a CEO, so I do business. So we have different business. We have like medias in Shanghai, and also we have headhunting company, human resource, and immigration and visa, and also housing. And for headhunter, so because right now, from last year, we have a joint company with Respond. It's kind of like the biggest local Chinese headhunting company in China, and they have over 100 child companies all over the different like Chinese cities and also they have over 4,000 employees. So we have a lot of headhunters, and we cooperate with a lot of Chinese companies. So that's why I can do the sharing today. And for any helper, we have, as I mentioned, that we have medias, any Shanghai, housing, immigration, headhunting, and real-time Q&A. And to start my topic, so first I want to share the working environment between China and Indonesia. So from my point is like right now there is a lot of cooperation and competition. For the competition, you will see that for China used to be the kind of like mostly focused on the service industry. So a lot of European and American companies, they come to China, they build their factories, and right now most of these companies, they move to South Asian countries like Indonesia. So it's definitely, there are some competition between China, mainland China, and Indonesia. But from my point of view is more cooperation at that moment, because we have a lot of clients. These Chinese companies, they are trying their best to export their innovation and brands to South Asian countries, like TikTok. You may know that TikTok is pretty popular in Indonesia, and also some other Chinese companies. We also know some fintech companies. Always like almost every week, I will make a phone call to Bagas and say, oh, I know another Chinese companies. They open their branch in Indonesia. They want to hire people. They hire a lot of people, not only in service industry, but also in like internet companies, fintech, and different industries. So I think there are a lot of cooperation between China and Indonesia, especially the Chinese company is booming in Indonesia. They want to hire more people in Indonesia. And also in China, like last week or 2 weeks ago, I gave Bagas also a requirement that one Chinese company, they want to hire Indonesia student in Beijing, and they want to do some translation and community management and marketing and promotion work. So they do really need like Indonesia people to work in their team. So this is also a need. So I think there are definitely a lot of cooperation in current working environment. So that's the first thing I want to share. And for the second part, connections to work. That's what Bagas and me and we are doing right now. So I will separate like sharing in 3 parts. Firstly, so if you want to find a job, what's the best way to find a job? So that's separated into 2 parts, headhunter or boss. So for headhunter part, that's what my company is doing. So if you are already senior level people, manager level, or C-level people, definitely you can use headhunter or headhunting company. There are a lot of recruiting companies right now in China, in Europe, and in the US. So I think it's definitely a really good market in Indonesia also. A lot of headhunters headhunting companies also booming in Indonesia. So what we are doing right now is like we help this manager to find job, and they don't need to post their resume on different like recruiting platform. They can contact directly to the headhunters, and we introduce job to them. And the second way is talk directly to boss. That's what Bao Zhiping and CariWebinar are doing right now. So if you want to find a job, what's the best way? It's not only like, for example, you put your resume. For example, in China, we have 51 job. It's old style like website for recruiting, and you put your resume on it. Also LinkedIn, you put your resume on it. But another way is like kind of like you need to be really confident. You talk directly with the boss, because normally the boss has a better understanding than normal HR or even HR director. Because the boss, for example, like me and Bagas, we really know that what kind of people we need. So if you can talk directly with the boss, definitely that's the best way and save a lot of times. For example, our company, for my company, we have 3 3-level interviews. First, we do the phone call interviews, and the first one was directly with the manager level, and the third one is with me. But if you can talk directly with me from an app like CariBoss, then it's really efficient. So that's my suggestion. And for the second part, comparison is Baozhiping and CariBoss. So Baozhiping is a Chinese app, so mostly for Chinese people. Right now, it's already listed into the Nasdaq, the American stock market. Right now, this company worth over, I think it's over $10 billion, and they have over 100 million users in China. It's really a big company right now, and a lot of people use it. Even my company, I think 80% of my hiring is from Baozhiping. It's really efficient because for me and my manager, my HR, they can talk directly with the candidates, and the candidates will send us the resume, and we talk directly from that app. It's super efficient. And for CariBoss, I think it's definitely if Baozhiping is already the main channel to do the recruitment in China, and CariBoss will be the future of Indonesia, because most of the feature is similar, and also CariBoss can understand what Indonesia recruitment need, what's the candidates need. So I think definitely is the future. And the third part is online recruitment compare with offline. Right now, so for example, if I do recruitment, as I mentioned, 80% is from Baozhiping and 90% is from online channels. In China, we also have some other websites and also other apps. So we mostly 90% is from online, 10% is from our network. Maybe 5% is from offline. For example, we go to the job fair, like in East China Normal University, different universities, and also from some community. We go offline, we found some certain people, but it's really limited. And I don't know like what's the current situation in Indonesia, but I do think online recruitment is definitely the future. And also for online work and offline work, I think online, for example, freelance work and also to find like online work, part-time job is really the future. For example, right now it's super hard for our company to do recruitment in China because I will mention it in the second part. But it's the difficulty is like, for example, Chinese people, they mostly speak Chinese and their English is not that good. So for our company, we really want to do recruitment overseas, or if there are some like Indonesia candidates, they don't speak Chinese, but they can speak good English, definitely our company will also prefer to hire them. So online work is also the future compared with the offline work or the full-time job. So also because of the pandemic. So I think it's online is also the future. And for the third part is the high need in human resource. So what kind of industry is looking for people? First, I will talk about Chinese in the mainland China. And for mainland China, if you don't check the news, you will not know that the market is changed really fast. For example, the Chinese government is really controlling the internet company. So the internet companies like position has less position than before. And also for education, you will see that there are a lot of need in China in the past like 10 years. There are a lot of needs in education and real estate because a lot of people pay a lot of money in education. But right now, the central government is controlling this market because they want to encourage the student, like they can have free education and free life. They don't need to pay much attention into their after study time. For example, they still to go to the education agency to study again. So the Chinese government really control this market. So there are not many needs in education, in internet companies, in real estate. But what's the what's the hot topic or what's the high need in human resource? What I mentioned is firstly e-commerce. E-commerce is definitely a lot of high need, even though Alibaba is getting down, but there are a lot of new companies like Pinduoduo, like some other companies, like even TikTok. They are trying to do more in e-commerce. So e-commerce is what you can find like job opportunities. And another side is consumer goods. Consumer goods, what I mentioned, for example, you will see there are a lot of brands like Nike, Adidas. They're from like European and American countries, but right now in Chinese company they invest a lot of company in consumer goods, like invest into Li Ning and Anta, and they have a lot of like funds, so they want to hire more people because there are a lot of needs in consumer goods. And another side like human resource. I didn't mention that I have headhunting company and a lot of headhunting company, they are booming in China. They want to do more business in Indonesia, in Malaysia, and Singapore. So these human resource company, they are also booming. And compared with China, what we found in like Chinese company, what they are hiring in Indonesia, the difference is it still have e-commerce, also have a lot of need, but different is fintech and service industry have a lot of needs. What I mentioned is fintech is, for example, they do some like loading or like a finance app or like trading for the stocks app. For this kind of like app, they are like booming really fast in Indonesia, and many of these companies, they are Chinese companies. They have a lot of like need. They hire a lot of people and pay a lot of money in Indonesia market, and that's fintech. And also the second part is the service industry. As I mentioned, that right now the Chinese market is really cost a lot. So a lot of American and European companies, they move to Indonesia. So they pay a lot of money into that part. So I think service industry is also booming fast. So no matter you want to work in this industry or you want to make a company into this industry, is also really a good topic. And also another part I haven't mentioned into my PPT is the marketing and the community management. For example, TikTok, you know, like TikTok is a Chinese company, and they spread to the world, and they also booming really fast. They have really high need that they want to hire people who can do community management, marketing, and also some Chinese company, they want to hire people who can do advertising in Google advertisement and in Facebook advertisement or in Instagram advertisement, because for China or Chinese people, they don't really have this kind of experience. So they really want to hire people who have experience in the advertising like position. So that's the high need in human resource. And the requirement in work. So compare with Chinese market and Indonesian market. That's what I mentioned, that like Indonesia is kind of like for the human resource or to work is a competition, because both China and Indonesia have a lot of people. So I will share that what kind of like human resource ability in China, like Chinese market or most Chinese candidates, they don't really have. The first thing is the language barrier, because in China still we talk in like Mandarin, like we talk in Chinese. So most people, their English is not that good, especially the speaking level is not good enough. So to compete with like the Chinese market, I think Indonesia has a advantage. I think many people who can speak really good English. For example, today I do a sharing, and you can, like most people in this meeting, you can understand my sharing. that's the ability. That's a really good ability to compete with the Chinese market. That's also why a lot of companies is trying to get into the Indonesian market. So have a really strong language speaking skills is your advantage. And this is the first part. The second part is definitely the ability in different position. For example, what I mentioned is like the marketing position. If you know a lot in Facebook advertising, you know how to do posting and how to do the management into the Facebook like advertising, you definitely have the really strong ability. And also for programming, if you have a really strong skills in programming, definitely you really have a strong competition with the Chinese candidates. So, and also from the local market, you also have strong ability. For example, I also checked like a CariBoss app. It's really good. It's you have a strong ability to make such a good app compete with like Boss.Pin. Maybe Boss.Pin has like 100 programmers, and CariBoss don't have like 100 programmers, but you do a pretty good job. So that's also a good ability. So that's what I think. You need to discover the difference between you and other candidates. Not only for example, what I mentioned more is like Indonesia candidates and Chinese candidates, but also between Indonesia candidates. What's your advantage? You need to find your advantage in this market or in this position. If I am a boss, when I do hiring, what I mentioned, maybe 5 points that, for example, you need to speak good English, you need to have a good education background, you need to have experience in the Facebook advertising, blah blah blah. But what I care more is maybe only one part. Maybe only the first part is the most important thing is maybe good English speaking skills. That's what I care more. And for the experience, for other things, that's the adding points. So you need to find out whether you match the points or not. And also, if you you put your resume into one recruiting app, you need to really careful about your resume. Your resume need to be really like good to read. Many people they have too many information into their resume, so it's difficult to check or what's the main point. For example, you have 10 volunteer experience, 5 internships, and 3 full-time job. That's a lot. You don't need to mention all these things into it. So you need to put specific resume information onto it. For example, you want to apply for a marketing job, so you put all your marketing experience on it. You don't need to mention your programming skills or other skills. So the manager will not check. So that's also important. So that's my sharing today. And if you have any question, you can ask me.
Okay, thank you, Calvin. That's a very good and interesting presentation from you. Now, I bet there's a lot of audience here and has a lot of questions relating to this topic that we're discussing today. So we're going to have a Q&A session. Anyone is welcome to ask question to our guest speaker, Calvin Chen. Oke, untuk teman-teman, sekarang kita masuk ke dalam sesi tanya jawab. Nah, untuk teman-teman yang ingin memberikan pertanyaan kepada Calvin Chen, bisa mengisi link di bawah yang sudah di-sharekan di dalam kolom chat. Nah, sambil menunggu teman-teman menuliskan pertanyaan, mungkin kita bisa menampilkan beberapa video dulu. Nah, itu dia iklan dari Cari Bos, teman-teman. Cari bos, cari kerja, cari bosnya aja. Oke, mungkin ini sudah ada beberapa pertanyaan ya kayaknya ya. So, Kevin, Kelvin Chen, I want to ask about the difference, like the working culture in China, especially when it's like over hour, like overtime, working with overtime. Is it in China? Is it like obvious that's working overtime?
I will say that it depends in with what kind of cities. For example, if you are in the biggest city like Shanghai, Beijing, definitely like there are a lot of overtime work. And for my company, we are okay, but we still have like department, for example, headhunting department, they are really busy. So sometimes they do work overtime. And maybe you have heard like 996. So some of the internet company, they work from 9 a.m. to 9 p.m. and work 6 days every week. So that's do a lot of like overwork. And you will say that like Chinese people, they are really hardworking and they really like competition. So for example, if you have another colleague, they work overtime and you leave early, then the boss will think, oh, you don't really work hard. Yeah.
Okay, I see. So is there any chance for Indonesian student or Indonesian worker to work in China regarding this, like China people is very hardworking and stuff?
I think I meet a lot of people, they do feel that like Chinese people, they work really hard. And but like if you already study in China for like 3 or 4 years, then with you I think you will feel it's okay because all the other people is working that way. And but and also like for example, if you work in Shanghai and you work overtime, you can definitely earn more money. That's also a benefit.
Oh, Kevin, there's a question from one of our audience. What is the working wages in China office usually? The rate working?
Sorry?
How much is the wage if you work in China company?
It depends on what kind of position. So, and also our experience. For example, if you graduate in Shanghai and you have a bachelor degree, you don't really have work experience, the normal like salary is like 7,000 to 8,000 per month RMB. And if you work as a programmer, that's much more, maybe twice of the money. And if you have a master degree, maybe add like 3,000 on top, something like that.
Oke. Jadi untuk teman-teman yang tadi menanyakan tentang gaji rata-rata pekerja, kalau pekerja di kantoran itu biasa sekitar 6 sampai 10 juta biasanya per bulan. Terus kalau untuk programmer itu bisa lebih lagi. Dan juga kalau kita lulusan dari S2, kemungkinan besar bisa sampai 30 jutaan, 20 sampai 30 jutaan. Itu dari kata-kata dari Kelvin. Oh, Kelvin, there's another question. I think it's very interesting. Is it like language? You talk about language, right? The language barrier. Is it will be the first main point for the HR to mark that we have a very bilingual language?
Sorry? Bilingual. Sorry, can you mention again?
Wait. Hello? Can you hear?
Yeah. Can you mention again about the question?
Okay. Yeah. Is language a key value for a candidate to accept it into the Chinese company?
I think language is really important. So when we do hiring, the first question like the company will ask us, can this candidate speak Chinese or not? So if you can speak Chinese, then definitely you will be hired as a normal Chinese. So the requirement is lower than if you don't speak Chinese. And if you don't speak Chinese, definitely you need to speak really good English and both speaking and writing.
I see. Jadi teman-teman, Kevin menyampaikan bahwa kalau kita bisa lebih banyak bahasa untuk bersaing di China, untuk mencari pekerjaan itu semakin mudah untuk kita. Gitu. So, how does the company culture that you apply in the Any Helper, Kevin? Someone asked about that.
You mean our company culture?
Yeah, in your Any Helper company.
For our Any Helper, so I will say that it's a bit different from normal like Chinese companies, because most of our employees and team members, we have mostly like overseas experience, and some of them they're also foreigners. So we will say that is the company culture is pretty international. So we can understand, for example, different countries, different countries' culture, what they need and what they want to help. Because our companies mostly provide different services and help to the foreigners and foreign companies in China. So that's our focus. And for the company culture, another difference is like we don't really care about like overwork a lot. We care about like efficiencies. So how to work really in a fast way. So we start to work from 10 a.m. and work until like 6:30 p.m. And for other companies, they may start pretty early, like 9 a.m. and work maybe until like 7 to 8. So that's the difference of the company culture. So we like people with innovation and smart people who can work in a really fast way. So that's what we care about.
Jadi teman-teman, Kelvin menjawab bahwa di perusahaannya dia itu lebih mementingkan tentang penyebaran kultur, karena perusahaan dia itu lebih banyak membantu orang-orang dari luar negeri juga, dan dia menerapkan lebih pilih melakukan pekerjaan yang efisiensi daripada melakukan pekerjaan yang overtime atau lembur gitu. Jadi pekerjaan yang lebih cepat dan tepat itu lebih dipentingkan gitu perusahaan dia. Oh, Calvin, there's another interesting question from one of our audience. What is the good habit of worker in China that Indonesian worker can do or copy to become a success people?
Like habit or some ability?
Yes, habit.
Because I don't know the working style of like normal Indonesia candidates, I will mention that some like habit that I like. For example, the first thing, so I will say that for my company, we don't really care about working experience. So what I care about, as I mentioned, like innovation and smart, but for the working habits, the first thing is you can understand your boss. You can repeat your work to your boss. For example, when I do arrange a task, maybe to you, and I will say that, Kelvin, please do this work. For example, please help me to finish the advertising post. Can you help me to do the post? And for the boss side, maybe we don't really mention a lot details. For the boss, we are pretty busy, so we don't really mention a lot of details. But for the employees, they need to feedback. So you need to ask back to your boss that, oh, what you need is like this or like that. So you need to feedback. You don't need to kind of accept the task immediately. You need to repeat back the details of the task back to your boss and to double confirm that that's all these needs from your boss, and to confirm. Then it's save your time and save the time of your boss. Or if you don't really confirm all the details, then you finish one thing for example, one task and the boss will not satisfied. For example, the boss will say, oh, you don't really understand me. What I need is a video, not an image. But you don't really ask. If you don't really ask, then you will definitely waste a lot of times. So this is one really good working habit. And the second thing is you need to summarize. You need to have a really good summary. So for my company, every month we have a review, kind of like company review for normal employees or junior level employees. So in the review, if you don't really summarize in a good way, then you can't mention what you have done. For example, last week we do last week we do a review, and my employees, actually he has done a lot of good work, but I'm the biggest boss, so I don't really know the details. So when I ask question and he can't really mention like the details and the summarize. So, but when I ask again, and he can say, oh, I do a 3 really difficult tasks. What is it? Blah, blah, blah. And I will ask him, why you don't mention at beginning? Because this is what your results, your working results. You need to apply your working result in a really good way and summarize it. For example, I finished 10 tasks in this past 1 month, and 2 of them is really difficult. And what I have done, for example, I do a lot of work in my weekends, and I think a lot and I found a way to solve it, and then I have finished these 2 work in a perfect way. So you need to mention in a really good summarizing way and do a really good report to your boss. Or I will never know. I will think, if you mention, oh, I finished 10 tasks, that's it. I will think that, oh, you just do a really normal work. So these 2 parts I think is really important.
Oke. Jadi teman-teman, Kevin menjawab pertanyaan tadi itu di mana culture-nya itu bahwa di sana itu biasa lebih menerapkan untuk mempertanyakan dulu apa itu pekerjaan yang diberikan dari bos. Jadi mereka biasanya itu sebelum menerima pekerjaan itu mereka mendetailkan dulu pekerjaannya mereka dan memberikan feedback dulu untuk dicek oleh bosnya apakah ini sudah sesuai dengan keinginan dia. Jadi melakukan double crossing check gitu. Dan di perusahaan Kelvin Chen sendiri ini di Any Helper, dia juga menerapkan semacam company review. Nah, jadi di tiap bulannya dia melakukan company review di mana tiap pekerjanya itu melakukan summary apa yang mereka sudah lakukan. Karena menurut Kelvin itu tadi bahwa kita kalau bos dan pekerja itu gap-nya ada lumayan jauh. Kalau kita tidak memberikan summary seperti pekerjaan apa aja yang kita lakukan atau kita tidak membicarakan kepada mereka, mungkin bos tidak akan tahu bahwa seberapa sulit sih pekerjaan itu. Nah, jadi makanya itu yang membuat perusahaannya Kelvin itu menjadi lebih dekat dari antara bos dan juga pekerja-pekerja di bawahnya. Kelvin, I think this will be the last question.
Yeah.
And I think this is asked by one of our undergraduate participants. How to increase the confidence in applying for a job for fresh graduate students who have no experience in working at all?
You mean the confidence in interview or confidence in resume? That's different.
I think what this mention is the confidence in interview, I guess.
In interview, okay.
In interview.
Okay. So I do a lot of interviews. Actually, like every week I will have like 3 interviews with different like people, and many of them they are like fresh graduates. So firstly, a good self-introduction is the most important thing, and the self-introduction will be short and focused. Why is short is important is you don't need to mention a lot all the experience. You need to focus on a certain point. For example, you have an internship, and that internship is pretty similar as the position you apply. So I think you need to mention more for the internship. And if you don't really have internship, even you have volunteer experience, or even only you study a class, a course that is pretty useful for your position, you also need to mention that part more. So for example, I'm two kind of candidates I don't really like. Firstly, he mentioned too much. He talk a lot, and he don't really have the main focus. So I don't know like what he has done and what's the connection between his background and my position. So I don't really like this kind of candidate. The second part is he mentioned too last. For example, he doesn't have any experience. For example, he doesn't have internship. He only study. But only study, you do have some like homework. For example, you do have some projects you have done in your bachelor degree. For example, you do marketing projects, you write a paper, or you have some class that you have like main theory that you have learned. You can mention these things. You don't just mention, oh, I graduated from Tufts University. I'm from Indonesia. That's it. How I can ask question. So that's the first thing. Self-introduction is really important. The second thing is you need to remember all the details that you put into the resume. So as a boss, I'm really careful that you put some fake experience into your resume. For example, if you've mentioned, I used to do internship in any helper, I'm a marketing intern, and you mentioned this experience in your resume. But when I ask question, I will definitely ask a lot of details. For example, can you tell me more about what you have done in this internship? Or may I know that how you finish this work? And for example, you mentioned you organized one event. I will mention that how you manage this event, how you find the clients, how you like attract these people to the events. And if you manage these events, organize these events, how you find the place. But if you can't answer this question well, I will think it's a fake experience. Or I will think that you haven't done much in this experience. So you need to be really careful that if you write something into your resume. So you need to remember all these things. So that's these two parts into the interview. That if you can answer, do a really good self-introduction, you can answer a good question in your background, then I think you definitely have the confidence. Yeah, that's my answer.
Oke, jadi teman-teman, Kevin memberitahukan bahwa kita itu harus melakukan self-interaction, di mana kita di dalam interview kita harus melakukan self-interaction, kita harus lebih aktif untuk memberitahukan pengalaman apa saja yang pernah kita lakukan, misalnya pengalaman kerja, ataupun pengalaman organisasi, ataupun pengalaman kita bikin paper ataupun apa. Nah, dan kedua, kita itu di saat interview itu kita harus menghafal apa aja, harus mengerti benar apa aja yang kita taruh di dalam CV kita. Gitu. Dan tadi Kelvin juga memberitahukan bahwa dia sangat tidak suka kalau mendapat orang yang suka bertele-tele waktu ditanyakan. Dia membicarakan lebih banyak daripada apa yang sebenarnya dia bisa gitu. Okay, Kelvin, I think this will be the end of our Q&A session.
Yeah.
Before we end the session, can you give us a little bit about the closing statement?
Yeah. So thanks for inviting me to this speech. So it's also a good communication with you. And also, like I think like everyone, if you prepare a lot, and then you can definitely find a good job. So as like as my sharing today, so if you want to find a job, you need to have a lot of preparation in your resume, in your interview preparation, and find a good channel, find a good industry, and this is all important. And also better use of CariBoss and this kind of app is pretty useful to find a job. Yeah, thank you. Okay.
Okay. Thank you, Kevin, for
Yeah,
coming and give us a lot of knowledge and insight for today. And now I'll give back this event to our host, Salma.
Okay.
Okay, thank you, Ardi, and thank you also to Calvin Chen for your sharing. It's such a wonderful insight from you. Thank you so much for joining our webinar, our today's seminar. Baik, para peserta audiens, para peserta webinar kali ini, terima kasih banyak sudah bergabung di webinar kita. Sebelum mengakhiri webinar, seperti yang sudah saya sampaikan di awal tadi, bahwa kita akan melakukan sesi foto bersama. So, Calvin Chen, are you still there? We would like to take a picture together, by the way. So, could you mind you if you reopen your camera and join with us for taking a picture just for a while? Is he still there? Hello, Calvin? Oke, jadi baik para peserta webinar sekalian, kami akan melakukan sesi foto bersama. Jadi silahkan bisa membuka kameranya dulu, bisa bersiap terlebih dahulu sambil menunggu narasumber kita kembali dan bergabung kembali untuk melakukan sesi foto bersama. Nanti saya akan memberikan aba-aba dalam hitungan 1 hingga 3, dan nanti akan dibantu oleh operator juga untuk melakukan sesi foto bersamanya. Baik, apakah Calvin Chen sudah kembali? Halo, Calvin?
Belum.
Belum kembali ya? Oke, kita masih menunggu Calvin dulu. Untuk para peserta webinar yang belum mengisi link absensi, saya ingatkan kembali untuk bisa mengisi link absensinya terlebih dahulu sambil menunggu, bahwa link absensi juga berpengaruh besar pada absensi atau sertifikat. Jadi silahkan untuk mengisi absensinya yang sudah ada tersedia di kolom chat Zoom saat ini. Bisa langsung saja diakses linknya. Oke, sambil menunggu untuk sesi foto bersama. Ya, silakan untuk dibuka kameranya, virtual background-nya boleh digunakan juga. Kami sudah kirimkan virtual background-nya di WhatsApp grup peserta. Oke. Baik. Calvin, apa sudah kembali? Belum terlihat ya? Oke, boleh virtual background-nya juga digunakan, atau kameranya baik boleh siap-siap dulu para peserta webinar sambil menunggu Calvin. Oke. Calvin bilang dia akan kembali sesaat lagi, jadi mohon untuk menunggu sambil siap-siap dulu. Mungkin boleh yang perempuan mau pakai alis dulu, kita kasih waktunya sebentar. Atau mau pakai lipstick dulu, silahkan. Biar tampil kece. Jangan lupa yang mau update nanti bisa di Instagramnya kami juga, di tag aja Instagramnya @CariBoss ya, dan langsung di follow juga karena banyak informasi menarik. Oke, Calvin is back. Hi Calvin, we would like to take a picture. So are you ready? Oke, so jadi operator sudah siap ya untuk
Sudah siap.
capture-nya? Siap. Saya akan hitung 1 sampai 3 ya dalam bahasa Inggris. So I will count 1 to 3 and the operator will help to capture our picture. Okay, ready ya? 1, 2, 3. Okay. once again ya, because there's
Sekali lagi.
two slides ya. Oke, 1, 2, 3.
Sekali lagi, Salma. Halaman selanjutnya.
Okay, once again, everybody. 1, 2, 3.
Oke. Selesai.
Okay, is enough? Yeah. Okay, thank you, Calvin Chen, for coming and joining our webinar. Thank you so much for sharing your insight. It's such a wonderful insight. And if you want to leave, it's okay, Calvin Chen, because we want to move on to another section. We would like to announce and give away. So, okay, jadi kayak saya beralih lagi ke bahasa Indonesia, teman-teman sekalian, kita akan bukan mengadu ya, kita akan mengacak seperti yang saya bilang tadi di awal bahwa akan ada giveaway. Jadi nanti operator bisa bantu untuk share screen-nya karena kita akan tampilkan beberapa nama yang sudah mendaftar di webinar kali ini. Dan ada 5 orang peserta yang beruntung yang akan mendapatkan hadiah spesial dari CariBoss. Jadi bersiap. Saya akan hitung mundur ya, 3, 2, 1, nanti roll-nya akan berputar. Dan akan terambil 1 nama hingga 5 nama nanti yang terambil, dan itulah yang beruntung. Oke, siap ya untuk pemutaran pertama ya? Oke, kita hitung mundur, 3, 2, 1. Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Oke, siapakah gerangan? Dagdikduk, apakah ini nama Anda yang muncul? Oke, ada Fatmawati. Kita punya pemenang Fatmawati. Selamat kepada saudari Fatmawati. Untuk hadiahnya sendiri, nanti kami dari pihak panitia akan menghubungi saudara-saudari sekalian. Jadi ditunggu saja emailnya per hari ini hingga besok akan segera kami kirimkan hadiahnya. Oke, kita langsung melanjutkan ke pemenang kedua. Bisa kita putarkan lagi roll-nya. 1, 2, 3. Putar. Oke, siapakah dia gerangan? Apakah ini nama kamu? Kita lihat. Oke, pemenang kedua ada Feliana Deriska. Sekali lagi selamat Feliana Deriska. Nanti akan panitia hubungi via email. Emailnya kebetulan memang sudah kami dapatkan ketika rekan-rekan sekalian mendaftar di webinar ini ya. Jadi tunggu saja informasinya dalam 2 hari ini. Oke, selanjutnya kita putar untuk pemenang ketiga. 3, 2, 1. Siapakah dia? Apakah ada nama kamu yang kita sebutkan di orang ketiga pemenang giveaway ini? Ya, dan pemenangnya adalah Kesia Pabula. Selamat Kesia Pabula, nanti pihak panitia akan menghubungi kamu sesegera mungkin. Oke, selanjutnya untuk pemenang keempat nih. Wow, detik-detik terakhir apakah akan disebutkan? Nama saya kayaknya nggak ada nih di sini. Sedih banget, kita puterin ya. Siap semuanya, 3, 2, 1. Oke, siapa ya di sini yang kira-kira diputerin atau dapetin namanya? Siapakah ini? Ada Hukmawati. Wow, selamat. Nanti akan panitia hubungi melalui emailnya ya. Ditunggu emailnya. Oke, kita lanjut. Ini yang terakhir. Yang paling mendebarkan, kesempatan terakhir, apakah ada nama kamu di sana? Kita puterin langsung di hitungan 3, 2, 1. Siapakah gerangan yang beruntung 5 orang atau menjadi pemenang terakhir nih ya? Oke, ini dia pemenang kelima, ada Meta Seluiren. Aduh, mohon maaf kalau penyebutan namanya ada yang salah, tapi selamat untuk Meta dan 4 orang lainnya. Di total kita sudah mendapatkan 5 orang pemenang giveaway. Dimohon menunggu bahwa informasi hadiahnya semuanya, cara-cara penggunaannya, dan informasi detail lainnya akan segera dikirimkan melalui email para pemenang. Dan informasi yang tidak boleh saya lewatkan juga bahwa tadi di awal, sepertinya saya sempat menyebutkan bahwa bagi rekan-rekan yang sudah memberikan pertanyaan tadi, kami sudah kumpulkan sebetulnya beberapa pertanyaannya dan nanti akan juga ada hadiah menarik juga untuk para penanya. Jadi dipantau saja informasi detailnya, informasi lengkapnya melalui email atau juga follow Instagram kami di @caribos atau di Facebook kami, fanpage kami ada Caribos juga. Dan yang paling penting download juga aplikasi Caribos di Google Play Store atau juga di App Store karena banyak sekali fitur-fitur variasinya yang bisa memudahkan kamu dalam mencari pekerjaan. Dan sepertinya kita sudah sampai di akhir pertemuan webinar kali ini. Terima kasih untuk rekan-rekan semua yang sudah bergabung. Utamanya terima kasih dan mudah-mudahan informasinya, beritanya, pengetahuannya bisa berguna, bisa bermanfaat untuk rekan-rekan peserta webinar sekalian. Saksikan selalu webinar persembahan dari Caribos, CariWebinar selanjutnya. Tentunya di minggu depan akan ada CariWebinar ketiga dengan narasumber yang tidak kalah menarik lainnya. Tunggu informasi detail waktunya di Instagram kami @caribos, jadi langsung follow aja untuk supaya nggak kelewatan dari semua berita informasinya. Kalau begitu, saya Salma pamit dan seluruh rekan-rekan yang Caribos juga pamit. Saya ucapkan terima kasih dan mohon maaf apabila banyak kesalahan yang terjadi tidak disengaja pada webinar kali ini. Sampai berjumpa di webinar minggu depan. Wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.